So many people just fit in and create the 500th course around female embodiment. I only see parrots talking about the same things. They all lose touch with reality. They perform an idea of what a spiritual person should look like, and people are meant to believe that they're actually living like this. That attitude doesn't change shit. That attitude doesn't change the paradigm. Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome back to Rooted in the Cosmos, your podcast for all things spiritual leadership, higher consciousness, and New Earth vision. In the spiritual space, we talk so much about authenticity, about sovereignty, about breaking conditioning, and being different. Yet I see so many people just parroting each other and not being really authentic. It's almost like you look at the spiritual space and people begin to all sound the same. One of the reasons is because everyone and their mother is using ChatGPT to create any type of content. I'm not against AI. I do use it as a tool and I do use it to create graphics and all that. And I'm not against it at all. I see it as a technical evolution that can be used for good and for bad, like everything can. So I'm not against AI, but I am so tired and it icks me so much when I scroll through Instagram or I want to consume content, like conscious content that I actually appreciate. And then I see my favorite people online have these generic Instagram captions that all sound the same and the sentences that you can immediately call out as AI. So there's a lot of parroting because everyone's using the same AI that is trained by the same algorithms. It's so obvious that people are using so much AI and that they don't even put in the effort to rewrite the caption and just get ideas. Like there's so many amazing ways to use AI to actually get your creative juices flowing. Just ask ChatGPT what your ideal client's questions would be about a certain topic, and it will give you the questions that your ideal audience may have. And there you have it. You can create actual good content for your community and not just have ChatGPT write out a caption that you've seen 10 times with the same buzzwords, with the same wording. That's not the topic of today, actually. I just want to talk about how everyone is trying to fit in and how so many people in the spiritual space are missing that part where we need to have change in order to create something different. Everyone's talking about the New Earth timeline. Everyone wants to create impact and do something different. And what do so many people do? They are all parroting each other. They are creating content that is not even theirs. Like I've seen so many people talk about a topic that feels like they are talking about it, like it was their idea to talk about this. But then I scroll a little further and another person is positioning that topic in the exact same way. I was on a call a couple of days ago with my own mentors and they said that as well. They said like everyone is posting that one video right now where they talk about how you can spot someone is not really intelligent. And then they list the things and it's always positioned as this was my unique idea and I'm speaking my mind. But it's actually not. They're just stealing and copying content from the original creator and it snowballs and everyone makes it seem like they had this original idea or this thought that popped into their mind. And as a spiritual leader, I question that a lot because what does that to our consciousness, to our sovereignty? If we, like, this is a small thing, if we take an idea and position it as our own thought, it wasn't really an important topic, but what if that kind of automated response to copy people and to replicate people and to just parrot people, what if that also automatically translates into more important topics like political positioning or collective opinions that can differ? What if people are just taking that and see it as content that they can position as their own original idea and sell it as theirs? What if that becomes a habit that people do? It's almost like this decline in consciousness, also in the spiritual space, because people are just having their captions generated instead of written and they're parroting each other. When you look at the coaching space and the spiritual space, There is so much stuff that is a fever dream. I love the spiritual space. I'm part of it. And I know there's a lot of people who are genuinely mission driven. They have like this soul-led purpose they want to fulfill. They actually want to help people. This is where evolution happens. This is where awakening happens. This is where conversations are happening. But I see so many people preaching authenticity and being different and standing out, but then conforming to rules and values that are perceived as normal in the spiritual space. For example, I myself found myself in this conformity spiral when I started to eat meat again for health reasons after many years of being vegetarian first and then being vegan. And I was in this thought process of, oh my God, do I actually need to hide this? Because many people think that spiritual people should not eat meat because they're still stuck in this idea that it's dead energy and that it lowers your vibration. Should I hide that? Should I just not talk about this? And then I came to my senses and I was like, no. I don't want to fall into that trap of performing spirituality or performing a certain spiritual lifestyle that is perceived as correct and spiritual. I connected back with that rebel inside me that got me where I am today, because I've always made different choices in my life. I never took the easy road. I never took the road all the other classmates were taking. Like, I was busy exiting the matrix and exploring my deepest shadows and wounds, while other people in my life that I knew were concerned with where they're going to study and what university they're going to go to. And that's okay, that's their path, but I never was that person. So I was like, why do I feel the need to adapt to the spiritual bubble now just because there is this pushed idea that vegan equals healthy? And why do I feel like I need to hide that part of myself? So I came back to my senses gladly, and I have no issue talking about this. I don't want to have any debate around this or talk with people who are like defensive of veganism, because I've been there. I've been that person. I was that person not wanting to sit next to them when they have a steak on their plate. I was that person, and there's no need in me discussing with you, because you are at this point in your journey, you are at this level of consciousness, or it is the right path for you. I am not to judge that. For me, it wasn't the right path, and for me, it was a stepping stone on my evolutionary progress. So there is no need to debate this, but I also don't need to hide it. The more you try to squeeze yourself into this perfect image of what a spiritual person looks like or how they live, the more you are a slave to the system. And a lot of people don't see that. They leave the matrix behind just to join another version of the matrix that is still controlled, that is still infiltrated by certain values that are being spread, that is still controlled by division. For example, with veganism versus meat eaters. Like, they cannot see that they are falling for the same trap in a new age costume. And I find that so baffling that so many people are not seeing this, and that they are still stuck in the same aesthetics, in the soft voice, in the love and light language. They could feel horrible inside, and they will sit in front of a camera and talk about how everything is love and light and how everything is so beautiful and we should be grateful and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying these things are wrong, but it's so surface level. It's not enough. It's not all that you have to do as a light worker. As a light worker, you also are a light warrior. It always helps me out to hear feedback from you or to see you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also checked my analytics, and they said that 70% of people regularly listening or watching this podcast on YouTube are not actually subscribed to my channel. So if you're feeling called out right now, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and support me and my work. As a light worker who wants to make impact in the online world, which is the real world, the online world is our broadcasting system to the real world, to the people who actually gain something from our content. If you want to be a light worker, you have to be a light warrior. So you have to be the person to say the unpopular thing, to say the thing that will get screenshotted and sent to the group chat, because people are like, oh, how could she say that? How could she oppose of the common opinion or the values that are accepted as normal right now. How could she? You have to be that person. You have to be okay with not being liked. You have to be okay with being the black sheep, with being judged, with being called crazy. This is all part of it. And this is something that should actually light you up if you're a true light warrior. If you really want to create change and if you came to this planet with this plan in your heart and in your soul, you will feel lit up by that. Not because you want to provoke people, not because you like being hated online or you like having a shitstorm. Not because of that. It's because you feel that rebellious energy in you awakening, and this energy hasn't just been with you for this lifetime. You've carried this energy for thousands of lifetimes. So when you speak your mind, when you speak your truth, and when you oppose the general opinion or the general narrative, you should feel lit up inside because you literally incarnated here to question that very narrative. So when I see so many people just fit in and create the 500th course around female embodiment and teaches divine femininity in a way that portrays women as receptive and soft and leaning back and wanting to attract the divine masculine, and nobody ever dares to say anything different about this and dares to say, girls, like, what are you doing? Divine feminine energy doesn't center around attracting a divine masculine. It centers around you being in your feminine. It centers around reclaiming our power because we are the portal to life and we are the creators of all this. Like, we are so intuitively connected to the spiritual realms, and we literally translate the spiritual into the physical by birthing people. If all women stopped birthing people, we would be done. This species wouldn't exist. This is not what we have to do, but this is what we have to realize, the inherent power. I'm going a little bit off topic right now because I'm talking about the divine feminine, but this was the first thing that came to mind. Like, why is nobody talking about what they really feel? They can't actually all feel the same about what divine feminine energy is. They can't really all believe that. And this translates to any topic you can think of. I only see parrots talking about the same things. I'm missing the humanness in the spiritual space. And with humanness, I mean that they all lose touch with reality. They perform an idea of what a spiritual person should look like, and people are meant to believe that they are actually living like this. We cannot forget our humanity just because we had a spiritual awakening and we are accessing higher consciousness. And unpopular opinion on my end at this point, I don't actually think that the people who perform all this are actually accessing higher consciousness, because the journey is usually that you identify with that image of what a spiritual person should look like, and then when you actually awaken, you come back to a lot of things that are pretty human and pretty 3D, because you realize that this is your journey here and that this is an integral part of experiencing this realm. It doesn't mean that you fall back into bad habits or in a toxic lifestyle or partying and drinking alcohol every weekend, but this immense judgment that is coming from the egos of these extremely performative spiritual people, that is far from a spiritual awakening, and they either will wake up to that and question themselves and look back and completely cringe at how they have been, or they will not wake up to that and live in that delusion for the rest of their lives and keep performing and keep pretending they're something they're not, but that won't actually help them on a soul level. It's not actual soul evolution if you are just performing that. We cannot say that we are here to change the paradigm and then be terrified of being seen as weird in our own industry or as standing out with an opinion that is not commonly accepted in the spiritual space. That attitude doesn't change shit. That attitude doesn't change the paradigm. You have to be comfortable with making people uncomfortable or speaking your mind. And I'm not saying provoke people. I'm not saying come up with things that are actually rage baiting people. I'm just saying be authentically who you are. have your takes, even if they're unpopular. I have a lot of takes about the spiritual community that are very unpopular within the spiritual community, but I'm not afraid of saying this. And newsflash, I attract the people who align with those values. So I never feel like I'm working with people that I don't really vibe with. The clients that come to me, they resonate and align with my values. And I've heard so many times that they like that I pointed certain things out, or that they wanted to work with me because of that. So it's not killing your career if you're just being true to yourself, and if you're not afraid of having a different opinion or having a different look or doing things differently than other people in the spiritual space. Leaders don't repeat all the things that have already been said. They are the ones who bring in a new idea. And they are the ones who have to risk being misunderstood before people get it, because they are ahead of their time. This is how that paradigm shift that everyone's talking about is taking place by thought leaders. And with this podcast episode, I feel like I got a little angry. So I'm not angry, I'm just passionate about this. I feel like this came through and I shared about this because I want to empower you to be your freaking self, to be who you truly are, to not deny your humanity, to not deny your flaws, to also share your controversial takes, and to share what you really think, what you really feel, what your values are, and to be okay with being misunderstood and with not being liked by everyone. It's also a great filter of filtering out the people that you wouldn't enjoy spending time in your real life, so you may not want to have them around as clients or as followers. It's also a good filter. The New Earth timeline isn't just a prettier lifestyle and spiritual businesses, organic food, slow living, and this utopian idea that is being spread online. I do feel that there will be beautiful things like that. And when I tune into that vision, I see a beautiful vision and I feel beautiful energy, and it is kind of utopian. But I also feel like we're not quite there yet. We first have to go through collapse and rebuild. And that part is where it's important that we are okay with being uncomfortable, because the New Earth timeline is also about how differently people relate to themselves, to each other, how they can coexist with different opinions, and not only think in black or white, but also think in a lot of different shades of gray. That is what needs to happen. We have to see things that are complex as complex, and we have to realize that two things can be true at once. And the more these ideas are being pushed that you're either the perfect spiritual person or you are low vibrational, that doesn't help us. It doesn't help us. And it's so judgy in the spiritual space. I've had clients before who were holding back and afraid to share what they wanted to share just because that space is so judgy. They weren't afraid that their family or their friends are going to see what they do online. They were literally afraid of the spiritual community itself. And why is that? Why does it have to be like that? Long story short, if you are a spiritual leader, if you have a spiritual business, if you show up online, be okay with not being liked by everyone. Maybe use this episode to reflect on your own values, to reflect on yourself, and to really ask yourself, am I performing part of my content, part of my self-expression, because I feel like I need to fit that narrative and that idea of what a coach, a mentor, a spiritual person is meant to look like, how they're meant to speak? Am I really the person I want to be online? Am I reinventing things that work for me? Am I expressing myself in a way that works for me? Or am I adapting to what I believe is accepted in this space? Like, if you are an alternative girl who loves death metal and listens to goth music and has her whole room painted black and lights a candle and patchouli, and you come online and you feel like you need to squeeze yourself into the spiritual online space and become this jungle girl from Costa Rica doing ayahuasca and talking light language all day, is that really who you are? Is that something you squeeze yourself into? Or would your true power be to own who you are, to express how you want to express, and make it your own thing? Two things can be true at the same time. You can be alternative and you can be a spiritual teacher, and people will eat it up if you are confident and if you are attracting the right audience, which you will do when you are here for this mission, and when you are in your authentic expression, people will eat it up. They will love it. The only question is, do you dare to do that, or are you subconsciously or consciously adapting to an idea that you have in mind of what you should look like and how you should fit in if you want to do this work? Self-reflect on that. I feel like this episode was kind of rambly and me just getting a little heated and getting passionate about the things that piss me off sometimes. But as always, I hope you learned something new and this was valuable for you. Make sure to join my free space, the Cosmic Awakening School, for free resources and always staying up to date what is happening in my world. I'm sending you so much love. See you next week for a brand new episode.